Okay, I'm gonna rant about some nerd shit because I haven't done that in a while, and I feel like I'm overdue for something like that. but ooh, god damn it, my hair is big today. Um, so this question kind of comes up a lot. And it came up this morning in a live stream. And and people are always voicing concern about what's coming next in Marvel. And people like, oh, they kind of fell off from Endgame and everything. And somebody asked me, do you think Marvel lost their lightning and you think from Endgame, and do you think that they can recover? And I'm like, first of all, recover, like they are just started the next phase. Like, it kind of annoys me that so many people are making such strong opinions about the phase when it's literally in the startup right now. People are not fucking patient. People are not fucking patient, and it annoys the shit out of me. Like, not just as a fan and a content creator, but just as a moviegoer, because everyone wants instant gratification, like, so quickly, that they're not willing to let things develop. And I think we need to let fucking things develop. First of all, and second, like, and then, like, second of all, just pertaining to that comment in particular that I've heard a lot, like, are they going to catch that lightning that they had in Endgame? I'm like, guys, manage your fucking expectations. Manage your expectations, because I'm gonna tell you right now, we're not gonna get another Endgame. What we felt that day, when we went to see Endgame, presumably, like, and I could be wrong, I hope I'm wrong, I really, really do, but manage your expectations and don't expect for us to be getting anything like Endgame anytime soon, because you have to remember that Endgame was not just a movie. It wasn't just one movie. Endgame was not just one movie. It's not just 3 hours. Endgame is the culmination of over a decade of character building, of world building. I mean, shit, if somebody were to tell you that they're gonna watch Endgame, or they watched Endgame and they haven't seen from Iron Man on, you would fucking flip out. I know I would. I know I fucking have. I know I have. I'm pretty sure my mom saw Endgame and she told me, and I had a goddamn conniption over the phone. I swear. Like, Endgame is not just one fucking movie. It's a culmination of over a decade's worth of work, of pulling shit from the comics, of, just so much. Um and there's just so much about that decade and that process that cannot be replicated, because you have to remember, and a lot of people don't remember this or don't know, but the Avengers is not a project that was expected to work. Okay, they were trying something that had never been done before, and people were laughing at Marvel Studios at this point. They're like, okay, well, good luck. And it fucking took off. It is really a Cinderella story. And so there's so much emotion attached to the Infinity Saga, that really, really it can't be replicated. You can't replicate that journey. You can't replicate the process of building these characters, and also, like, the personal stories behind them, especially, like, Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. was just coming back into Hollywood, and nobody wanted to fucking work with him because of all the problems that he had in his problematic past. Nobody wanted to fucking work with him. And so, like, working with him was a huge risk. There were so many reasons why the cinematic universe was not expected to succeed. They were called, like, nobody gave a fuck about Robert or Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner, Scarlett Johansson, even. Nobody gave a fuck about Tom Hiddleston. They called these people nobodies. Like, they were kind of plucked out of obscurity back then. Like, we can't imagine it right now, because these are, like, those faces are all that anyone fucking cares about nowadays. But 11 years ago, nobody gave a fuck. Nobody gave a fuck. Let me see. Iron Man came out in 2018. So no, 13 years. I'm not 11 years. 13 years, because as long as me and my husband have been dating, that's how old the MCU is. 13 years. 13 years of this. Like I said, these actors, like, nobody gave a fuck about them. Marvel plucked them out of obscurity, and they still do. Which is something that I love about Marvel. Um, but just going back to like even Robert Downey Jr., like Iron Man wasn't just a character for him. Like that was like Tony Stark's story was Robert Downey Jr.'s story, a story about redemption, a story about a man finding himself after admittedly being a piece of shit for so long, and finding his way back to himself, and finding his purpose. Like that is very much something very very personal for Robert. Chris Evans was so reluctant to accept the role of Captain America, so very Steve Rogers like. He really wanted to stick with indie movies and stuff, like not another teen movie and all that shit. Like I believe and correct me if I'm wrong, but they came at him 4 times to do this fucking role. And his anxiety definitely played a lot into that too, of his reluctance to take that role. They had to come at him a few times. They had to be like, look, nigga, this is Captain America. Like, do you realize how big this is? It's very like the character themselves, you know what I mean? And like Chris Hemsworth was also a Hollywood nobody, as they called him, Paul Bettany. Everybody knows who the fuck Paul Bettany is, but at the time that he got the role of Jarvis/Vision, like he was being run the fuck out of Hollywood. Like there's a lot of emotion, like not only in the cinematic universe itself, but like IRL, like in real life. The attachment to these characters, and the attachment that these characters have to the actors playing them. It was like the past 13 years have been something unlike anything we've experienced before. Um, and it is very unrealistic to expect that we are going to get the same thing ever again, because we're fucking not. I think that the Infinity Saga, through all of this work, has set a foundation for the MCU to keep on going. Um, it has opened doors for so much diversity, which has been showcased so well this year in the form of all the shows, and in the form of the most successful Marvel movie to date, Shang-Chi. Amazing. Like the Infinity Saga has really laid the groundwork for what's coming next. And I think that we need to approach what's coming with open eyes, with an open heart, and almost a clean slate. Because I know we're still mourning the end of the Infinity Saga. It meant so much to us. Like for a lot of us, the Infinity Saga raised us. I know it raised me. Like literally, the Infinity Saga raised me. And these characters are characters that or they became like family members to us. Honestly, I know a lot of us, we're still grieving Tony's death. Like every time we see it, it's like it happened for the first time. It hurts, but I really think that we need to accept the closure, and just kind of like cherish that for what it was, and move on. Like Vision said, and I think Age of Ultron, a thing is not beautiful because it lasts. I think that we need to in a way, like leave the Infinity Saga in the past, and approach what's coming with open eyes, and just accept that this could be something completely different, and have something completely different to offer than what the first these first 13 years of the MCU has given us. But I don't think it's fair to compare it, especially because we don't have a full body of work to even go off of. All we've got, like, you know what I mean? Like, all we've got is one Spider-Man movie so far this year of all the shows, which this year was a setup year for the MCU, and is a fucking good setup year, because usually when there's a setup process or whatever, like it's kind of like lulling. But to me, this has been a really good fucking year, honestly, especially for diversity. This has been fantastic. It's been a really good year. But I don't have, for me personally, like I don't feel like I have enough information to go off of to make a judgment call. And even if I were to make a judgment call, I don't think it would be fair to compare it to the Infinity Saga. So my my advice to everyone is manage your expectations. Realize that we are just in the beginning of the post Endgame Marvel. Even though Endgame happened 2 years ago, it still feels like it was just yesterday, which is just a testament to like how culturally like significant this fucking movie is, and will continue to be, like, for generations to come. Just realize that that was a very unique experience, lightning in a bottle, and I trust that Marvel Studios will be able to capture lightning in a bottle again in a different form, but don't compare it. Don't compare it to Endgame. Don't compare it to the Infinity Saga. Unless we have reason to believe that it's actually like getting up there to that caliber, you know. But I would manage expectations and just be taken on the ride. Just go on the ride. I think a lot of, you know, there's so many like film critics, and there's film critics everywhere, you know, like everybody has a blog and everybody has a fucking opinion, and everybody just wants to have opinions that are out there. I feel like they just want to have something to say, even where I don't believe that there is anything to say. I think we need to remember, like, just go back to the root of being moviegoers and realize, get to a point where like being right is not necessarily what's fun. Part of going to the movies is being taken for the ride, having the story be told to you and not knowing what's next. Like, that's part of the enjoyment of it. That's part of the experience. So I'm like, can we like get the fuck out of our heads? Like, can we pretend, like, stop pretending that we are all Roger Ebert? Like, you know what I mean? Like, can we all get out of the Rotten Tomatoes mindset and just go on the ride? You know, just see where it's taking you. Just see that, just go on the journey and enjoy it. And at a certain point, we will get to a point where we will be able to, you know, maybe compare phases or compare, you know, compare arcs or sagas, whatever. But for now, like, just go on the ride. Just go on the ride. You know, enjoy the elements of the past that are still being incorporated. Obviously, you know, um, but don't compare it to what we've had. We're never gonna get that again. And maybe some of us can't let go of that, and maybe that's why a lot of us are comparing this next phase already to Endgame, which, even though it does, to me, it doesn't make fucking sense. Um, but just go along for the ride, and continue to mourn the Infinity Saga. I know I am, but we gotta let go at some point. We have to let go in a way, at some point. I'm never gonna let it go.